Hello and welcome back to the channel. It's puzzle time again with Sudoku Sleuth, and we've got a fantastic puzzle for you once again today. So, no real distractions, let's just get into it. So the puzzle that we have today for you is Colorado 2 by Florian Wortman. And if you remember or you cast your eyes back almost 3 weeks now, we featured the previous one of this puzzle, Colorado, and I discovered that Florian Wortman essentially has a whole series of these puzzles. Now, what I really enjoyed about the puzzle the first time I played it, and I'll make sure that I link to it so that you can get to enjoy it if you haven't played it before, is the way that Florian has designed these series is you essentially color the entire grid, and you probably need to use letters to complete it, but you won't be able to place any single digit until some external clue to the XVs that we have in here, such as this diagonal today, and you essentially figure out what are all the letters in there, and you try to get up to 55. So they are certainly more difficult than some of the other puzzles that we have featured on there, but certainly my memory of the first one is it's extremely logical once you get started. And that's essentially what we're going to do now. So just a quick reminder, for non-regular viewers of the channel, we often feature Sudoku puzzle variants. So that means they are Sudoku puzzles with a twist. I'm going to take a twist for today's rules in a moment that allows us to complete in a grid that is completely empty. And once again, today's grid is indeed completely empty with 0 digits in the grid to help us get started, except for one clue outside, which if you're a normal Sudoku player, you will not recognize. So that said, let's take a look at the rules. Normal Sudoku rules applies. That's very helpful. It means the digits 1 through to 9 in every row, every column, and every box. Identical digits cannot be a knight's move apart. So if you think about a chess knight, essentially under normal rules, it means none of these cells, that is the column, row, and the box, can be a 1. So I'm just going to color these gray because essentially this digit cannot repeat in any of the grays. But with the chess knight's move, it means that if you think about the way the chess knight moves, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step to the left, or 1 step to the right. So these 2 cells are also not allowed, but in fact, that's another 2 and a 1. So these are not allowed, these are not allowed, these are not allowed either to be the same digit as this cell. So this can be quite intricate if you haven't seen any of this before. And something to look forward to. If you've seen my performance on the last chess knight puzzle, it does require a bit of practice is all I'm going to say. Right, what else do we have in here? Cells separated by an X sum to 10, cells separated by a V sum to 5. All possible X's and V's are given. And that it means that there is a negative constraint in here. So these 2 cells must sum up to 5. And if you think about the digit 5, this can only be 1 and 4 or 2 and 3. Now these 2 digits, or I should say, these 2, whatever this is a 1, 2, 3, or 4, is coupled with a 6, 7, 8, or 9 that would allow it to add up to a 10. And quite critically, if this is one, let's see if there's any way I can actually make that happen. Maybe not. Maybe it has to be across. But essentially, what you won't be able to do is make these 2 cells add up to a 5 because we have a negative constraint. All possible X's and V's are given. So these 2 cells cannot possibly add up to 5 as well, under today's rules anyway. And then the last clue that we have, clue outside the grid, which is this 55, shows the sum of the digits indicated on this diagonal. So these cells, which we have no idea what they are right now, but we should be able to make some progress that would allow us to understand what they could be, and these cells all will have to sum up to 55. That's all the rules we have for today. If you want to play along, link as usual in the description down below. And with that said, let's restart the clock and see how we get on with today's puzzle. Right, so typically what I do with XV cells is immediately color all the X's and V's, all the V's I should say, because we know that the V has to be a low digit. It can only be from 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what you can immediately see is in certain boxes, we have essentially placed all the low digits already, because there can only be 4 of them, and we have placed 4 in many of these boxes already. But what we can do is go a step further. If you remember, I said it can only be a 1, 4 or a 2, 3. You can essentially color code them. If this is blue, this is the other set that makes up a 5 and it's green. Therefore, this is the other set that makes up a 5 and it's blue. And we can just quickly go ahead and color a lot of these cells to distinguish which ones they are. Right, so these are blue, and because it's attached to the same one, these are blue, and it's attached to the same one, these are blue. However, these are green, as is this one. And what we can guess is obviously any X's attaches to these V's are going to be red for a large digit. See, this puzzle is almost already demanding using letters to help us move forward. And I'll explain why in a moment. But essentially, because of Knight's move, we know that this digit, we know these 2 digits, specifically this one, cannot be in this cell because that would be a Knight's move away. And therefore, this digit is the same as this one. This digit is the same as that one. So what would be helpful to do here, and you can enable the pen letter tool on your configurations and settings in there. So essentially, I'm going to use A and D for one pair, B and C, and bear in mind, we don't know what order they are. But let's make that B, let's make that C. So we know that this is the C, this is the B. This, because it's a Knight's move away, this will be the C, B, C, B. Obviously, it has to be joined with a C and a B. Now, later down the puzzle, and I imagine it will only come down to this diagonal, we're going to have to try and figure out what these letters all stand for. Now, I'm going to start in these central cells to say this is an A and this is a D, because they see this cell with a Knight's move. This has to be an A, this has to be a D. We don't know what these are, so they're one of them. Now, if you've seen me solve this puzzle before, essentially the way that I'm thinking about the letters is essentially I'm placing a grid of letters on top of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And what I'm imagining is an A will be joined with an I, a B will be joined with an H, and you can see it's sort of spiraling inwards towards the center digit E, or in this case, it will definitely be a 5. Now, what we don't know is what they really are, but as long as you're consistent with the way that you are using your letters, it really doesn't matter what these digits may be. So as long as D always couples with an F, it doesn't matter. The order, the actual mapping of this letter to the digit doesn't matter. But you can see how this is helpful, because if you take a look at this F along here, we now know this cannot be an F, and an I can only be joined with a D, and that helps you essentially unravel some of these possibilities that we had earlier. So this is to complete the row the box E and G, and therefore the only remaining letter that we have in here is an H. And an H is joined with a B normally. Yeah, we've done that here, and you can see that there are no B's orthogonally attached to this H. So all of that looks in order so far. Let's keep going. So F is not there, it's not there, and it's not there because of knight's move. So essentially this F eliminates this cell, this F eliminates the one in the same row, but also this cell because of knight's move. So this is the only place an F can go in box 2. H, you can see, oh, we've already placed the H. We don't know where I, E, and G go, so this triplet, for now, we cannot resolve. Right, let's take a look at this X. So we know that the two greens, the B and C, are gone. So this has to be joined with a blue. Helpfully, on row 4, all the blues are already gone because of this AD domino. So that's got to be the high digit. That's the blue digit. This is a D, therefore this is an A joined with an I. I plus anti-knight's move tells us I is in none of these cells. I has to be up here, joined with an EG pair and another I in there. I'm going to maintain the colors for now, as I think it will be immensely helpful to remain consistent throughout here. Right, same logic applies to this domino and this X. We've already placed all the low digits, so this has to be red. This will have to be blue as the remaining blue in this row, since the greens are already used up. So that's a D. D is joined with F. And now we're left with a whole bunch of letters that we're going to have to place. H, no. Nothing obvious necessarily. So A and D are gone. This is a green-red pair. Which we're not able to place yet. Right, we can place on here. So in this box, box 5, we've already placed all the low digits. So therefore on this X, this can only be low. And on here, we've already placed 3 of them. This can only be the remaining last low digit. And again, it's a D and an F. So just Sudoku rules means F is not in there, and F is not in here. F can only be in there. And it seems we're going to have a continuous challenge throughout this puzzle with E, G, and H for one reason or another. Let's see what are the other X's we can complete. Yeah, in all of this, I'm surprised we've not been able to place a single 5. I'm almost wondering if I've bitten off a little bit more than I can chew. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just color code anything where I cannot place any more low digits, just to try and figure out where they are. And the reason I'm coloring all of these gray is you can see I've already placed 4 low digits in the row, so it's not in here. 4 low digits in the row, they're not in there. We still need 4 low digits in this box, so these are all low. And therefore this is high, this is low. This A and D tells us this is not blue, and therefore this digit has to repeat in here. Essentially, if that's a 1, that's a 9, that's back to a 1. And we don't know what this letter is. We know that these are A's and contains an A, but nothing further. So we still need 2 greens. We know one of them is in here. We don't know much else yet. We know we need an A somewhere in here. Still don't know enough yet. That's quite a tricky puzzle. I don't know if I want to go down pencil marking. Yeah, let's do that. So this is B or C we've established because it's green. Now B and C can only be paired up with G or H, but we've already got H in the column. That's not H, that's a G, and therefore this is a C. So this is an AB pair. This is a C repeated. This B is seen by the B up here. So that's a B, sorry, that's an A, that's a B. And we now know their colors. Now, we still need to place A and D in here. Still need to place a B in there. In fact, it's an EB pair. We can pencil mark these in. We haven't placed E and G in this box. So something about anti-Knight's moves that you should be familiar with is, if you take a look at this domino, let's say this was the E. You're not going to place it in here because of normal Sudoku rules. It's in the same column. But you can't place it in here either because of the anti-Knight's move. So what's interesting about dominoes such as this is you can't place either of these letters in either of these cells because they will always be able to see it either with a Knight's move or normal Sudoku rules. So these are EG. Therefore, this is the last H in this row. And over here, we need an H and is it an I? And this I tells us the order. That's H, that's I. This H also tells us the order. And to complete the box, we need, could it be? Yes, of course it is. E and G. I'm tempted to start coloring some of these E's and G's now. And we're left with H and I. The I cannot be in here. That's the I, that's the H. And of course it is another EG pair. Of course. Now the reason I'm saying I'm tempted to color these is because of the normal Sudoku constraints as well as anti-Knight's move, we can probably determine what these are. So for example, if this is purple, we know that purple is not in here, it's in there. Knight's moves tells us this is not the purple cell, that's the purple cell. Sudoku rules tells us this is the purple cell. And you can see whenever we figure out which one of these is an E or a G, we can quickly go back and actually fill in quite a lot of them. We don't have anything yet that sees this EG for now. Right, so these were EG and H. So this is an EG cell because it's got an H in the column. In fact, H sees this in the column, this by anti-Knight's move. So this is an H. Pardon me, I've been using centered digits. Whoop. I'm just going to remain consistent for now. And this purple cell sees this with anti-Knight's move. So this is purple. This is, none of these are gray. And this is now red. This sees this cell, that's the purple, that's the white one. And this is another EG pair, that's not gray. And that's EG. This A and D. What does D join with? It's an F, not an E, so none of this is helpful. Okay, I was just thinking because of this cell, can we figure out whether this is an A or a D? But no, this would have to be either an F, which is taken, or an I, which is taken, for us to be able to determine which this cell is. Now, G's are joined with D's. No, G's are joined with C's. This G over here tells us this is the E. Fabulous. So if I choose all of these, now they are not G's, and these are not E's. And we know that for certain, because the E's cannot couple with anything to add up to 5 or 10, that all of these are indeed 5. And finally, 15 minutes into the puzzle, we have finally placed our first digits, but we can say we've done a lot more than that. We have placed 7 digits in one go. So the last remaining 5s are in here. That's as far as we can go for the moment. Let's take a look at how we can figure out what we're left with. So we still need to place a B somewhere in here. It's not in there because of knight's move. So this is high because D, C, and A and B are all gone. They cannot be placed in here. So that's low, and that has to be an A. Joined with an I. We still need to place B somewhere. If you see where B is in the row, can't be in here because of this cell, can't be in here because of this knight's move, can't be in there because of this column. So B is actually fixed in here. I'm wondering if D is similarly fixed, and it seems to be. D has to be in there. Knight's move, Sudoku. And we're making slow but steady progress for sure. So this is a 5 D pair. This D tells us the order. That's not D. That is the 5. And that's not 5. I'm going to continue with the coloring as it's been very helpful, I think. And this is the 5 finally. This is now not E. And we have actually placed all the 5s in the grid. Still need an A. That's the A. Still need a C. It's not in here. It's not in there. It's got to be in here because we need to place a low digit next to this. In fact, all of these are red. All of these are also red. Now we need to place A and D in here. These are already known. A, D. We need B's and C's. C is fixed. That's in here. B's are also fixed. That's in there. That's the entire puzzle colored. Let's see if we can figure out the remaining letters. So we still need to place an H and an F. This H tells us where it is. We still need to place an H in here to complete this column. C's are always joined with G's. So we need to place I and F. This I tells us the order. That's an F, that's an I, that's a G, that's an I. And to complete the columns, that's H and that's an I. Now, let's take a look at this diagonal. So what do we have here? We've got, I'm going to just highlight all of these cells for a second. So we have a B and a C, which we know by definition of this puzzle add up to 5, plus another 5, so that's 10. So I'm just going to ignore the remaining cells for a moment. Now these have to add up to 45. And we can take this a step further. In fact, what I can do a little bit better actually. These are joined with H's. No, I can't. So a D is joined with an F. So I can remove these two because we know they are 10. Therefore, the remaining cells have to add up to 35. Now, if I make these maximum, so the I is the only one that's repeated. 9, 8, and 7. That's too much. We don't need that many. Let's think about this. So 2 I's, F and G. So there's something about F's and G's. So F is connected with a D. I is connected with an A. Does that mean they have to be 15? Because if that's a 1, that would be a 9. That's a 4. That would be 6. So yeah, these two add up to 15. And now we're down to... Is my maths working here? Let's try that again. 55 for all these cells. 45 without these cells. 35 without these cells. That can't be right. If I remove these two, we're saying these two have to add up to 20. Have I made a mistake anywhere in the puzzle? So I'm just gonna double check quickly. Right. I'm happy that the bees are not breaking any knights moves, nor the C's. The looks of things, yeah. I'm not breaking any, at least no negative constraints. A's look fine. And D's look correct as well. So everything seems to be in order for the low digits. Now they're joined with an I. Right. Yes, I've made a mistake in here. That's not an I, that's an F. I'm gonna unwind for a moment. The last few digits, if you don't mind. So we need F and H. So I think that was a correct move. That's an H. That's an F. We still need to place F and G in here. This F tells us this is an F. That's a G, which is correct with the C. This G is known. I, F, and G tells us this is an H, and that's not repeated. That's an I. This F eliminates all of these. That's an F. We need to place I and H. Right. Let's see. That all looks correct. I've not repeated any of the letters in any of these. So let's try that one more time now, this diagonal, to unwind it all. So we can still remove this 10 to make 45. We can still remove the D and an F to make 35. We now are left with 3 I's to make, what was I said? 35 and a G. So if we make that 999, is that the only way we can make that? I'm sorry, I'm gonna go over the math one last time. 5, 10, 20. So we still need to make 35 with these 3 I's and a G. Now, if I's are 9, that makes that 27, then an 8. So that's correct. So I's are in fact 9s. A's are in fact 1s. G's are in fact 8s. Therefore, because they're joined with a C, these are 2s. The B's are 3. The F's, well, I should say the D's are 4. And the F's are 6. And then we're left with 7s. And if I've not made any mistake, that's the solution to the puzzle. What a superb puzzle. Phenomenal puzzle as always, Florian. Um, Convoluted one, once again, having to color and pencil mark in the entire puzzle without knowing a single digit. I mean, the fives, obviously, with NXV puzzle, you will eventually be able to place before you get to the end, which we did. But I really immensely enjoy puzzles such as this one. So thank you so much for creating it, Florian, and sharing it with us. I hope you've enjoyed today's puzzle. Let me know how you got on with today's in the comments down below, and hope to see you back for the next video. Bye for now.